life.
Love that program.
So did I.
Right, welcome to Transformers the show. Episode is at 162, where we're going to be looking at the Armada Optimus Prime news. Alexis, you just talk while I'm doing the intro. That's okay. You just get that inner voice out. Don't keep it inside. Just get it fucking out.
Standard.
And then we've got Twincast and Metalhawk, and then we're going to ask a discussion today. We're going to be asking the question of discussion: is there too many repaints? Is that a good thing, or is that a bad thing, or is it a necessity, or is that just a happy thing for like animation that saves and animating new cells, etc., new characters, and just helps also with the toys where they don't need to spend so much time and money designing new figures when they could just repaint it and give them fantastic characters.
Save it for the discussion, Alexis.
Haven't we done it? Because
Alexis.
And that's what you get when
welcome to Transformers the show.
I was just gonna say, which one's the repaint?
Have your attention, please. The captain of your ship! I'm sorry. Please put this away! You left me broken hearted! But I never loved you anyway! No, I never loved you anyway! No, I never loved you anyway! No, I never loved you anyway!
That music has definitely grown on me.
I think you need to get the news prepared.
I'm going to get the news up, but I just wanted to welcome Primetime Moth Graham onto the show with us because I can't remember if we mentioned it at the start. So I apologise if you did.
Before.
I think you were too busy. I think you were too busy.
I thought I met you over.
So lovely to have you on, Graham. Thank you for joining us, especially as it's been a bit of a mad rush to find a replacement after unfortunately our friend Rich had to drop out as well. So thank you very much for coming on. And a fellow Newcastle
has
fan,
been noted, Richard. For
oh, you'll be good. I can guarantee you'll be good.
Once we've dealt with Alexis, you'll be next, Richard.
You are in the list.
Is that why are you wearing the same shirts? Is that I wasn't sure like if this was just for the discussion.
Newcastle shirts, Alexis. It's football.
Oh.
It's got your present fantasy here, Alexis.
Game you like.
You need to drop the soap now.
I thought you were just being a repaint of Graham, Andy. That's all it was.
I know you tried to make that joke before the start as well.
Oh God, that is just so.
Gee, it sure is boring around here.
Time for the news.
Nice. It's new.
How's that a joke? Time for the news. Oh, who gave Jamie?
We started strongly.
I brought some TV, and now the news. Don't touch that dial.
So we'll start with mainline. Why not, eh? Because it is the most important.
There will be no fun party tonight.
No, well, there's not much anyway.
I forgot to do the news.
Snarl. Yeah. Snarl. Let's just go Snarl. So Studio 86 Snarl. We've had all the official photos now, and he's looking damn fine, and I am very excited for this as he is my favorite Dinobot. I do love Grimlock, but Snarl, for some reason, I've just always had an affinity with him. So I am very excited that we're getting a Studio 86 series leader Snarl. Because of all the many exciting moments he had in the movie.
He's got all the bling. Hasn't he? So he's like
he's in one scene in the movie, though. Oh, come on!
I think he's in two, isn't he?
Yeah,
because he's also in the Quintess on ship when it's coming. I'm assuming you're talking about the obvious bit with the attack on the Autobot base on Earth.
Yeah.
He's in just for a split second. You see him in through the window of the Quintess on ship as well.
Through the window.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of practice looking through windows, haven't you, you auto freak?
Oh, I'm always looking for a big Snarler.
Comes with being a Newcastle fan, right?
I don't know why you're calling me. I'm 6'1". Very hard to hide.
No, Not like Ian.
Anyway,
5 foot
it's
11.
One
looking
day of
really
teaching
good.
and I've cracked like an egg.
I was going to say,
You're
2
a bit
minutes
feisty
in,
tonight.
Jamie's lost it.
I know.
Gone full Alexis.
Don't teach
Um,
kids. Don't. I know.
You can store the sword because it does come with a sword. You can
Sword.
store the sword on the actual beast mode.
Do you think they're just missing something there? They just put that underneath. That could have been a good symbol, you know.
Ha! They could have done. So many things.
I think
play
the
with
old
my
mode looks
sword.
brilliant. The old mode looks so like the an updated version of the G1. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I know.
It's one I'm
It
very
is.
much
It
looking
is
forward to
really
as well.
nice. And
How gorgeous? Gorgeous enough to take to your bed, Graham, or just be next to your bed?
Jamie, calm down, son.
I'll kick the wife. I'll kick
It's
the,
just
kick the
the
wife
one.
out for it.
Oh dear.
I have to ask you tough questions, Andy. So
Is he
Be asking
a
some
bed
questions. Anyway, he's awesome, and yeah, I can't wait. And he has been he's been up for pre-order. I got mine pre-ordered on the Hasbro Pulse route this time. Just taking a chance they might get it in first. I haven't been recently, but who else has pre-ordered him? Everybody, I assume.
I haven't
Yeah,
yet,
even
no.
me.
I
allowed
was-
to speak.
I like the idea of Kapow. I like the idea what Kapow said about not doing the pre-orders, and I was like, I'll back them. It didn't really last with the stuff that
No.
came out on demand.
I also looked at what a wonderful
I
idea.
like
Anyway,
that.
pre-order.
Yeah.
Anyway, how could we forget though that snuck in there was the core class Ironhide. So there's his vehicle mode, and there's his robot mode, and that's what we're all really excited for. Obviously,
I've met you about half robot cop too. That's not a nice thing to say. So I'm going to keep this up so she knows what you said.
I hope she's watching.
I hope so too.
And I don't think you find it slug now. Anyway, so that was Ironhide. Then we had this revealed, which was leaked. So this was from some Japanese website or whatever, and it's the Transformers Evolution Armada Optimus Prime. And then not long after that, we had some more photos leaked of it in hand, as you do nowadays. And that's the combined mode, isn't it? It's not called Superlink, is it? Is that Energon? Anyway, that's the combined mode. And then we started to get more photos of it in hand. So now I'm an Armada fan, although I'm not going to lie and say that Armada Optimus Prime is one of my favorites. I like it, but I'm not massively excited. But is anybody a big Armada fan? I mean, obviously, I don't think maybe Alexis are, but
I commented the other day, Andy, when we were chatting at the aspect that I wasn't really into Armada. I then picked up a certain Skywarp at TF Nation last year, and then
What a great
started
figure.
watching some of the show. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I enjoyed it the first time round. So it's one that I certainly
Is that
will be
because
picking
you've
up.
got no taste now because you're a Newcastle fan?
Cup final. Anyway, there's the famous
Bottle of
hand
blood
foot
money.
that you get from the bottom of the leg, whatever. With there you get the hand at the bottom of the leg because of the transformation when it goes into the super robot mode, and also from the animation as well. If you've watched the cartoon, I think you're right, Graham. I've obviously watched Armada, and the cartoon parts of it, episodes are really hard to watch, but others actually are quite good. Just it kind of depends. It's a bit like the G1 cartoon was. The quality fluctuates.
It's
The trilogy
Right.
combat bits are quite good.
You're breaking up a bit, Andy. I don't know if that's just me, but it's commander class price, so it's not. This is going to be expensive. You're thinking about Jetfire price.
Yeah.
It's going to be about 90 quid plus, or it could go to the time. So hopefully it might go down to maybe 45, 50 eventually, which Rodimus went down to.
Yeah.
But that's always a gamble, isn't it? But you know what? I think I'm going to take a gamble, and I'm going to wait till this guy's reduced.
There's always a third party one. There's always, if you're into Armada, there's a third party one for not a lot more than that.
Fans hobby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, about
Or
120.
you could always go to holiday in Ukraine this year. I think it's lovely.
How much is the fans hobby? I thought it was more than that because it's quite.
I'm trying to think of a good
quite large,
analogy.
isn't it?
About 120. 120, I think.
Reasonable.
I'm going to go look it up on the Evil Bay now just to confirm that price.
It's got a sad face.
Yeah, but the people who get third party tend to buy those third party now.
Well, it wouldn't be.
Surely
Surely he's still available through places like Show Z and stuff because he didn't come out that long ago, did he? So what's
They
the price?
do lots
for
of
them?
repaints, don't they, as well? But you know, that's third party. This is Chug.
Yeah. I think it looks pretty good. Again, like you say,
Was it
the
Fans
price
Hobby?
point's
Was
gonna
it
be a problem.
MMC? Was it MMC did it?
No,
I
it's
can't
Fans
remember
Hobby.
now. I thought it was
Fans
Fans
Hobby.
Hobby.
Right, news is going on.
We might have a couple coming.
Oh, there you go.
was it?
Prime Time Toys. Try them.
Sorry, no, it was 190 quid.
Lies, always with the lies. Right,
That's it.
and then we
He
had.
should work for the Conservatives.
I'm sure he does. Core Class Volcanicus, all combined. Although I don't think we've got all the members yet, but with the ones that are out. So there you go. I mean, it looks all right.
Fucking pish.
They're going to turn it into Dino King.
I'm out now. I really was looking forward to this, and now I'm not. Oh yeah, I forgot. it's Hasbro.
When were you ever looking forward
No,
to this?
you
Well,
were
I
I
knew
knew
it's
like
figure.
this off since the
When-
film
yeah.
came
looking
out.
forward to.
Could
a
you stop
Dino
lying?
King.
Just
I was
tonight.
looking-
Don't lie.
I was looking forward to
Oh,
Dino
don't
King.
bend truths. Don't
Not
say
bending
you were
truths,
looking forward
I
to
was
this as
looking
if you were
forward to
Oliver Twist
Dino
getting a
King.
second bowl of cereal. You weren't. You didn't care. You
Oh,
slagged
dear.
it off.
I think the Swoop one looks passable. The robot modes for the others are, yeah. It's not like an
Everyone says
afterthought.
the Swoop one seems the most articulated.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh,
lot
the
of good
fucking-
poses
Well,
it
it
can
looks
do.
fairly well proportioned
Fucking
as well.
potatoes more articulated.
Speaking of potatoes, there's the Scar concept art, and everybody loves a fist bot. There you go. Fantastic. What a great
Alexis,
way to integrate the fist.
What's the name of that dinosaur?
What's the name of that
And-
dinosaur?
Yeah, it's got the name there. How do you
Yeah.
pronounce it? You like dinosaurs. You talk about them all the time.
Ankylosaurus. It's an ankylosaur.
I really misheard you the first time you said
Ankylosaur.
So did that.
a what? A Watalosaurus?
Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus. Yeah, nice. Anyway, so
Is
there's
it up
something
to your
we can all
ankle?
pass on.
I don't know.
Is he an ankle? Is he an ankle? Funny thing, is he actually
Oh,
an
here we
ankle?
go.
Ankle
Is he-
biter.
He's not his arm, isn't he?
These are some of the worst ankle jokes I've ever heard. Right, Trainbot
you haven't heard them all yet.
Yukikaze. I can't speak Japanese, but anyway, there he is.
Achilles
This
were
is the
dead
masterpiece
serious.
one. And there are some photos. So there's a video you can watch of this, but these are stills from the video. I mean, the train mode looks nice, but we've discussed this before. I'm not really into trains, so I can't say I'm getting overexcited for this.
Train company that does Hobby or whatever it's called. E-Hobby. What are they called? Who's the train
I think the
company?
combiner head comes with this, doesn't it?
Graham,
give it
it's
away.
not too late for you to leave if you want.
Don't worry about it, Graham. I'm thinking about it too. And then there's the body with the head on the main torso, or at least upper torso. Yeah, so I know some people are collecting these, and some people seem quite happy with them. This one doesn't have as much of a backpack, I don't think. It's still got the nose of the train on its back, but I don't think it looks that bad. And the scale's kind of larger chug, isn't it?
It's not larger chug. It's just chug. It's not larger
Well,
chug.
it's on the chug on the larger size. But anyway,
It's the
we've also
same
got
size as the
Legacy,
other combiners.
Towline, and Toxitron, which apparently are coming. So that JT Prime 17, who's always posting and sharing things on TFW 2005, also revealed this week that there are the product numbers and information for Legacy Capsule Leader Toxitron. Not sure what the capsule bit's about. And Legacy Deluxe Tow Line. So might just be able to see the two characters it's based on up at the top there, Tow Line and Toxitron. So there you go.
Do you
And
think
that's
it's
it for
going to be
mainline.
good for a lot of chug collectors in the sense as older guys, we're not going to be interested to get so many of these characters now, so we'll start to save money. But the pure younger guys who don't have much, you know, because they're just starting out, really, they're going to be fucked, aren't they? You know, trying to get all these stuff. They probably
Pretty
won't.
much. Yeah, pretty much. There is some third-party news. There's not much, but there is some. Yeah. So, this is
Believe it or not, this is the fun part.
Let's do it
it's
properly.
really not the fun
Do it
part.
properly.
Gee, it sure is boring around here.
Don't start. Do not start.
Here we go.
That should be the
Trojan,
intro.
Trojan
That
Horse
should be
with
the
their
intro.
version of Waspinator.
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 Yeah.
Mode.
It looks. I think this looks really good. If you like Waspinator as a character, this looks pretty good as a G1 representation, as opposed to his beast mode, because the helicopter was pretty cool.
Panelly. Panels everywhere.
Did they have that in
Beast
Beast Machines? Is this just some?
I think this is just somebody's interpretation of what he could have looked like. I don't think it's ever been in any fiction that I know of.
Typical third party.
Making shit up. Anyway, or not, as the case is. That's why they've got to steal other companies' products.
It looks pretty good.
There you go. Do you know what? I do kind of like it, because I don't mind Waspinator, but
you could reimagine almost the Predacons as in G1 mode. So you had all of them: Pterosaur, Tarantulas, Waspinator, Megatron as a combiner, almost, couldn't you? If they had all these sort of modes, it'd be pretty cool. Just saying.
Moving on. Yeah, and then there was this,
which is it's
the Doctor Wu.
That's it, Doctor Wu.
Doctor Wu. Anyway.
Yeah, Doctor Wu. There we go. Thanks, Graham. They're just gonna let me suffer.
I mean, that mostly because we don't know what it is, and you're the third party. Yeah, all right. Yeah, it's our fault you don't know what you shared.
I thought they released Prime already. This is a second. Is this a second version?
Is anybody free?
Yeah, it's a second release. Yeah. It's a second release with Roller and the Axe included. I don't think they were included in the original one.
Do you think we're finding new Alexis and Graham?
I think we probably have.
I've never been so insulted. No, that's it. I'm leaving. And you, Alexis. Woof. Sorry, Alex.
Graham, can you take up drinking more? Fit right in. So, is this a whole thing, or is this like just like an add-on kit type thing?
No, I believe the original release came without Roll on the Axe. This is just a second release with additional bits. And
will this be available through yourself? Is this the kind of thing that Primetime Toys might know? There's not much call for it, I would imagine.
No, I think we stay away from the kind of reissue releases stuff, because unless it's something that we think is good and people are interested in, but I'm not seeing this being one of those.
It's only about 30 quid, so that's because it's like Micro Legends.
That's why.
Yeah.
It's about the size of a Micromaster.
It's that's small. But good articulation for transforms. If you want something that small, it's pretty decent.
Why would you want something that small?
For your base mode, if you've got like a big base, maybe.
Friggin' base mode. I got no room for base modes. Right. Anyway, that's it. That's third-party news. Hooray!
That was it.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
And I even did Alexis's job for him and actually went and looked on websites trying to find some more third-party news. Bugger all.
There's not really been much, yeah.
Also, if you want to check out Lee's new YouTube channel, he's just starting out. Good. So if you put us a link, I'll put the message up on the screen.
What was the review he did just recently that he put on there? I'm sure it was Lee. He did a very, very entertaining little mini review video. I'm trying to remember which character it was. I want to say Needle Nose or something. Very good. If you've got a chance, go subscribe. But not now, afterwards. Right. What are we doing next, Jamie?
Well, I thought what we could do is either we could watch Rohan's video or we could go on to doing our pickups. So what would we normally do? Pickups and then
normally we do pickups and then we go on to Rohan afterwards.
However, let's break the mold.
We now return to the Transformers.
No breaking the mold.
No, we're not going rogue this week. Next week we'll go crazy, absolutely crazy.
Andy, do you want to go first?
Go on. I will quickly. So I'm going to do this quite quickly. I'll share some photos first. Not nudes this week, I promise.
Boring.
I know, but get taken down again. So very quickly, if you've been in our group, if you're part of Transformers the Show on Facebook, you've seen these, so I won't spend too much time with them. But these are some photos of my Fans Hobby Double Agent that I got. I'm not going to do like a full review of it. I thought about it, but I had a long week and I can't be asked. But I've just realised. We'll go back to this. Oh, hang on. Give me 1 second. Something's gone wrong.
Hang on.
God damn you,
He's been old.
technology.
He's been-
Some
he's been
pictures
old
are there,
again.
but shouldn't be, I bet.
Not quite. I've not got
is it
full
Micromaster?
gaming, unfortunately. It's more the fact there's photos that aren't there. Oh no, they are there. They're just not in the order. Never mind. God damn you. Whatever this
Has he gone
happens.
full
Right, I'm going to
Jamie?
try sharing it again.
Okay.
There we go. I don't know why that went wrong, but there you go. They're all highlighted. It should have worked. Technology and me, we're not good friends. Right, there we go. Try it now. Right, there you go. Double Agent. It is really good. If you're a fan of Double Dealer like I am, it's a tremendous bot. I mean, the bot mode is just immense. Even Claire's been impressed with it. I mean, the size of it is huge. That's G1 Skyquake next to him, and that's a big bot if you know G1 Skyquake.
Yeah.
And he is really good. The face sculpt is absolutely just nails it. It just looks brilliant. My only issues with it are small things. The backpack that you get, there's a lot of panels that you have to fold, and to get them away neatly, you have to fold them in a certain order, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass the first time you do it. It also, I don't think it looks particularly tidy. And the thing is, don't get me wrong, I do think this is a tremendous bot, and I would recommend it. But like, we go on about third party and like how incredible it is, and I do think that like anything, even like mainline, you find there's things that maybe you think that could have been done a bit better. I see so many people moan about backpacks on mainline figures.
Yeah.
But as I say, I know why it's got it, because it's you
Yeah.
know, it's the wings basically for the third mode. But I don't know, it doesn't even tab in, and I think that's part of what bugs me, is that once you've got it all into position, you can knock it and it doesn't quite stay in position. But I mean, it's behind it, so I'm not going to be looking at it much, am I? I'm not Alexis. I'm going to pose him back to front.
You should.
The gun
You should.
is
Big O.
the gun is great, but it's a bit large in my opinion. But it's just the way it is, I suppose. The Micromasters, the Power Masters are excellent for such small little figures. They're really well articulated, and they're really good fun to mess around with. I say he looks fantastic. I think I'm going to put the stickers on mine, because I want it to look more like the toy than the cartoon. But I'm going to wait till a time when I've not had the shakes like I have this week to actually be able to do that. He's got fully articulated fingers, which I know it's just not something I normally get because I don't pick up third-party figures, and most mainline don't have it. But I resisted the urge to do the middle finger pose. I'll do it another time, John, if you're watching. And then there's nowhere to put Scar, the other Power Master, really, when he's not kind of in the Power Master position, so to speak. At least not that I've noticed in the instructions or so far,
No,
like just
there
from
isn't.
watching videos and stuff. So I just kind
There
of
isn't.
plonked him behind his head, and it still looks good. But
Ask you a
again,
question
Go on.
about Power Masters. Remember in the comics, Optimus Prime had his Power Master form when he connected with his Power Master, but the other Power Masters, they didn't need their Power Masters connected, did they, to go into the robot forms, or did
I don't
they?
think they did. I don't think they did in the comic books. But then even Optimus Prime in the comic books could let.
Oh, he had two
stay in
forms.
his
Remember,
form. Well,
he had two forms.
he did in like as a toy, but in the comic book, he was always
Yeah,
drawn as the full Power Master mode.
Well,
He just could
sometimes he
IQ could
was,
jump
but
out.
Sometimes he was, but I don't know if that was maybe the artist, because originally he had his normal robot form, and then he would power up when he first connected with the
Oh yeah,
Power
yeah.
Master.
Well, was that the US story when they first introduced it? The US Marvel
Yeah,
one.
and then it kind of lost its way, like Dinobot's scale suddenly went out the
Yeah.
window as well.
Well, to be fair, the full Power Master version of him looked badass, didn't he? It's still the best Prime, in my opinion. But yeah, if somebody's saying to you, right, should I go out and spend 110, 120 pounds on this figure, then my answer would be yes. Wholeheartedly, definitely yes. Especially if you're a fan of the character, but just be aware there will be little things that you have to kind of, come to peace with. And then, you'll notice there's no photos of these burn mode because I don't like it. Not because I don't like it because it's bad. I just don't like the bird mode full stop. I never put my G1 one into it. I never put my Earthrise one into it. I've never been a fan of it. I don't see the point. It looks like a vulture. And when you stick the missile underneath, it's got a giant missile penis. And the only other thing I've picked up this week, which only arrived today and I've had no time to open, is Metalhawk. But Metalhawk's, I think, going to appear soon, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. And that's it. That's me done. That's me done for the week.
Graham, you get any pickups?
Well, I did. I got metal. As I say, I caved after saying I was going to hold off and support Kapow. In demand put up, these two, and I just couldn't resist. So I have to say I'm really happy with both of them. I will. Did you pick these up as well, Jamie?
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on the feel of the plastic?
Well, I'm going to share it when I talk about it, actually. So feel free to say what you want
Perfect,
now, or feel free to jump in. Please jump in and say it.
I'll do that. The only other thing I got a Turtles Last Ronin figure. I don't know if anybody's read. That's a great story. So I picked that up, and then from in demand sale, I picked up this huge battle cat. So like $12.99.
The master of this one.
See, I can't stand the He-Man figures because they injured me when I was 5. So
if you ever injure Jamie,
those toys which were dangerous and hurt me, I'll give these to Alexis' to children because I know Alexis will play with them first.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had opened them up with a look, and he's bloody huge. I don't actually know what to do with him. I just thought it was a great price, and I thought I'm going to pick it up. I think you started with that with some of them, Andy, from that aspect of how cheap they were.
Yeah. I mean, if you can pick them up cheap, I don't think they're too bad. I just think the problems are they do have some restricted articulation. They remind me very much of the kind of wrestling figures that my son got. Especially the elite wrestling figures. But even then, I think some of those elite wrestling figures had more articulation or better articulation than the Masterverse ones did. But the Masterverse ones look lovely. If you want something that looks a lot like what was on the screen, most, not all, but most of the Masterverse figures do that.
Dating was like buying toys? People like toys when they're cheaper. Do you wish that maybe if you were a cheaper person, would you get more action? Would you be a better partner?
Yes. I don't know about being a better partner, but I'm pretty sure you get more action if you
you don't need to take
you lower your standards, Jamie.
You can just give me a 10. I'll be happy. 10 of mints.
I think what that battle cat
you know how to pull those ladies, Jamie. 10 of mints.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd say about that battle cat is it does a really good cringer mode. So you take the armor off and it actually looks like cringer rather than like the original toy. It didn't look like cringer; it just looked like battle cat without armor. So
well, the thing is, like everybody goes on about that in the Master of the Universe collecting kind of circles. They all go on about, you've got to have an original battle cat. But I mean, it was just like that static figure, wasn't it? It didn't have any articulation. And it was always in battle cat mode. Whereas at least these new ones they've tried. I did see not nasty rumor, but I did see a rumor. The kiddies version of the Master of the Universe cartoons. They did the 2 for Netflix. That apparently the kiddies version's been cancelled.
Yeah, the writers.
It's a bit of a shame because I've only just finished watching that one, and it was quite good.
I really liked it.
I agree. Yeah.
I think somebody had asked a question of one of the people involved with the actual show itself on Twitter or somewhere, and somebody had screenshotted it, and where the person said, no, it's not been picked up by Netflix for another series. So I hope that's not true.
Shame.
It's a shame.
But that's me for this week, guys.
Alexis, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Show us what you got. Show us what you got. Oh, look, Unicron's there. Are you going to do a live transformation?
And he's got custom Bruticus to show tonight as well.
No, I will do what I do with him, which is I put this guy in here. This guy, gets
Primus.
Eaten. Yeah, he gets eaten. He's my Cybertronian Moon.
Right, moon base.
If I can get it quiet, if I get it in the right position, it looks like he's eating.
Primus.
He's eating him, so I'll leave him there. I'm sure he's fine.
Oh, if that drops out, you'll have literally killed God. Anyway, go on. What have you got?
So I built this week my custom Bruticus, which I'm very happy with. There's one small part which I'm getting updated. So Ramsden, I don't pronounce his name. Omar is his real name, but he's got a place on Facebook and Estee. Ramadan. I'll put a link in the chat. I'm going to do a proper video on this one, but he does basically 3D printed custom designs and stuff. So what this actually does, this kit, is it takes the Zeta torso, and then you can insert on the MMC limbs. So you've got you've got so it's like a case shell for and combined parts for the joints, and then extra part for Vortex and chest plate for Bruticus. And then you can actually have little hand things that plug in here and here and use the Zeta hands because they're a bit bigger than the MMC ones as well. So I'm not going to do too much about them. This is just a bit of a preview. I'm going to do a comparison between this MMC and Zeta as a one-off short 15-minute show in the next week or two. I'll just get the dream team together.
Is that this year?
Yeah, a week to this year. Don't worry.
Because aren't you going snowboarding and then going to something else?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's abandoning us for a couple of weeks to go live the high life.
So I thought I'd just do some photos because this is obviously the scene, isn't it, where Starscream's Brigade, where Bruticus is unveiled for the first time on our screens, and Megatron is lauded upon by Starscream, to his delight, and Megatron's displeasure, really. So just to sort of show you, it scales really well in for that, I think. So he's actually ever so slightly bigger. I'm not going to reveal he's a bit bigger than the combiner was because he's got the knee joints. It's fair to that. Then on my hands there, excuse my hand. I was trying to do a spinny thing on the helicopter blade. It didn't work. I didn't think that.
No, I think it does work. The helicopter blade looked quite cool.
Just my hand doesn't.
Yeah. Hand of unicorn.
It can hold a Legend shotgun. That's the Magic Square shotgun. Shockwave. Sorry, Shockwave there, which it can hold, which is quite cool. And it can also hold. That's New Age Megatron as well. So he can dual wield there, like you would, right? So makes the most powerful combiner because he's got those two most powerful Decepticons in the palms of his hands, quite literally there. Then I thought I'd do a little bit of double dealer action because Andy did.
Can I ask you one question about the customization?
Yes.
It looks really awesome and really good. And this is basically a custom of two different third parties put together, as you said. Mm-hmm. How much did it cost to get these parts? Ballpark figure.
About 80 quid.
80
for the
quid.
combiner, 80 quid for the combiner parts. So the bots are the bots, right? You pay for the bots. Then for the additional parts, about £80 on top.
So, that's excellent.
And I thought I'd do a homage to the I think was this on the back of his box, his original G1 box, Andy? This picture here.
The artwork, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd try and recreate that. And it's bloody hard to try and get the right pose. And he was a little bit too short in the other photographs. I put one in the box. I didn't like the box. So that's my interpretation of.
Looks like he's got a Skeksis on his shoulder in the actual artwork.
Yeah,
it looks more like a vulture. They say it's a falcon, I think, in the actual official descriptions of it, but it looks like a vulture.
That's not a falcon.
Yeah, kind of freaky falcon.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Have you it almost reminds me of the sort of face of those bird things, and was it the puppets or something? Dark.
The Skeksis. Yeah. From the last, the Dark
and there was another thing. It was a 1960s sci-fi series. I think it was Journey to the Middle of the Earth or something like that, where there was sort of bird things which were controlling people by their minds. And
not seen that one.
Oh yeah, that's like way back in the 60s or something like that. And it
was not as old as you, Jamie. Sorry.
Oh, here we go.
Well,
that's teenagers. That's teenagers.
And I still look fucking amazing.
And I thought I'd just do a little. Yeah, I just took up a couple of the because these are good figures, aren't they?
Knock and Scar are good. I mean, again, I've always preferred Scar. I like as a bat. I like the fact they made him a more humanoid figure, but that's because of the Japanese cartoon, isn't it? So it was.
Well, he does. Yeah, he puts the rings over the bracelet one way.
Yeah, he gets two different ones, doesn't he? So he can swap them. And that's how he disguises himself as Autobot or Decepticon.
If you watch the cartoon, you would not like him anymore because he's a little weed. He's just a
I have watched the cartoon, but the thing with him is he goes on a journey, doesn't he? So I won't give too much away for anybody who's not seen it, but he does end up like things change, shall we say? And
he's a sulky brat.
I'm not sure how to say it without giving it away.
That's me.
He is a sulky brat, but most of the kids on it are sulky brats. So
I don't think I got anything this week. I'm pretty sure I was going to get Metalhawk. I forgot. I looked at my delivery notice wrong. It's actually arriving tomorrow, so I got super excited to do some photographs again with that. And no, so it didn't happen. So I thought I'd rearrange my room instead.
That was
wall
it.
behind you looks
The
fair.
film was called At the Earth's Core. It had
Alright.
Peter Cushing and David
Wow.
Innes, which is Doug McClure.
I wonder if you can stream it anywhere.
Gee, it sure is boring around here.
No one cares.
Who was
That's
that?
very mean-spirited, Alexis. To be honest, I'm quite hurt. Oh, well.
Cole, take away his powers. Right.
So if that's Alexis truly finished, I'll go on with my thing. Basically, I too, like everyone else, I think in the UK, has basically picked up Twincast, and I've also picked up Metalhawk, and yeah, they're basically to do a lot of our discussion tonight. Repaints and heavy retools or remolds of existing figures, and I do like the fact I've got them. I do like the sort of bright color, especially Twincast. He just sort of shines, and you can see these all the typical paint apps might be the problem when it comes to Hasbro, but he does look quite cool, and the little guy looks quite good as well. It's that rewind, isn't it? He comes with. Yeah, but basically the thing is with Twincast, he's basically just a complete repaint of Blaster. And Shattered
It's a different head, is that right?
Well, he's got the only difference is he's
Smirk
got a
face,
cheeky
isn't it?
smile. He's got a cheeky smile, hasn't he? So he's got a different grin, and I think the head is a sort of slight improvement apart from maybe the paint on it. But yes, he's just a repaint, so there's nothing new to really see. But yes, we've got Metalhawk here. Now, this guy is a bit controversial with me because when I think about it, I think, see, when Cyclonus first came out, wasn't he about $24.99?
It was around, but the prices shows how much prices have changed, doesn't it?
Yeah. So this guy's $34.99, which is a good 10 or more. And I mean, he looks okay. He does look okay, but I think people who might have saw previous Metalhawk pictures I did, I think the original one done in the Titans Return era had much better paint apps. I used an awesome trigger happy mold, so it's great to see Hasbro carrying on the tradition of use one of the best molds from the line. But the thing is, with the old previous Metalhawk, we got everything freaking trigger happy had. With this guy, he's lacking some stuff. They've taken it away from him, and he's a much more of a simplistic transformation compared to Cyclonus. There's not as much folding going on, and he does look good. But his arms, you can see his arms, and they could have filled them in like they did with Cyclonus. There was no reason why they couldn't have done that, I'm not too happy with the guns because the guns don't seem to fit in his hand too well. They sort of like spin there. It's almost like, like a helicopter. It spins like a helicopter. French people won't experience that when they, leave the shower. But British people, we know what that feels like. And yeah.
So his guns aren't sitting properly in his fist.
Yeah. So
No,
I
hate that.
Are you saying, Jamie, when you have it in your hand, you do the helicopter with it?
I don't need to use my hands.
And then do you say, get to the chopper?
Not you, Mr. Postman. Me, Len. No. No. But yes.
Why was the postman in the bathroom when you got out of the shower?
That's what I want to know.
Questions.
That's a secret crush. He's just admitted it on live on there.
Sorry, go on.
So anyway, we've got like Metalhawk here, and I used some transparent cellophane, just cut out a little bit, put it around the gun handle, then put it in, and it sort of wedged in there, so it made the sort of guns much tighter to hold. The sword seems to fit fine, but yeah, I was a bit annoyed with that, so I don't know if that's something that carries on with the other. Is it just me slightly unlucky, or is it other people got similar issues? Yeah, so it's just bloody annoying, and it should be better.
Excellent. I look forward to that.
And the thing is, the sword, guns, I mean, it's just clear plastic. I mean, not clear plastic, it's just grey plastic. They could have painted that.
Yeah,
There could have
agreed.
been some paint arts, and the whole figure to me seems to lack. It's almost like a prototype. Here's a prototype, and you're going, wow, this prototype looks amazing. And then they go, we can't be arsed. We're just not going to finish this. We're not going to give you any more paint arts. Yeah, so I'm a bit disappointed to take away, some of the covers for the limbs, the lack of the paint apps. I would have rather they didn't bother with the guns and spent more money on the paint apps or filled in the limbs. I think the guns, just not useless, not useful at all. They could have kept the fins and made sort of blades. And
I think you'll
blade
find
for the
toy
blades.
hacks. Toy hacks will be on this straight away. They'll
Yeah.
get some kind of sticker set. Unfortunately, it means you got to buy the extra
Well,
thing, but.
There might
I'm
be a
gonna-
third-party kit for the guns as well, it sounds like.
I'm going to try and pick this guy up cheap when he's ever on sale and maybe actually paint some of the stuff myself just to try it out.
Ooh.
Cool. Be good to see that.
But he does, but because it's the Cyclonus mold, it's a hell of a lot heavier, and you would not instantly guess this is Cyclonus. And as I said before, like the wings there, I like the fact the wings in Cyclonus, you can flip them a bit so it suddenly reduces the wings. I kind of wish they did it with this guy. It would have been a cool addition. You can see the molding where it's meant to happen, but it just won't push or turn like that. You'll just bake it. And he's good articulation. He's got good presence. He's a good sized figure. I mean, as I said, if you saw this as a prototype, you'd think it was amazing. And it just needed a little bit of splash, on it just to finish that off and to think about those guns a little bit better. But it's a cool figure. I like the way you can hold the sword. Obviously, you want the sword to the to the side. You don't want it straight underneath because it looks a wee bit ridiculous. There he is there with his mold brothers, and you can see like the Cyclonus there. And now I think since we got the original Cyclonus, which was epic, and he's still my favorite because he's nice and sturdy. He is complete. The select Cyclonus, there's something wrong with his arms, man. They just seem a bit loose. He's not as torque as the original Cyclonus was. I even think the paintwork wasn't as good. I mean, he might look good, but I think a lot of people were thinking there's lots of scrapes when they looked at the toy closer. And now we've got Metalhawk, so that's all three of them there, and they do look good together. And they are about the same size as well. Yeah, I'm glad I've got him, but I definitely don't think he's worth $34.99. And I'm just being honest there. And normally I'm a Chug fanboy, but there he is again there with Cyclonus, just a little bit of look, and it is impressive when I say this is what I do like. It's not a simple repaint; it's a heavy retool, and that's something, and the fact is you can see a lot of things they were thinking about to do and implement. It's almost like they push the boat as far as they can go, and on that basis, I do thank the Hasbro engineers. Because I think with a lot of toys we're starting to see, we can see where they wanted to go and price stopped them.
Yeah.
And it's maybe Hasbro are starting to think, if people want a little bit more paint apps and a little bit more plastic, would they pay a little bit more? And the answer is yes. Yes, I would. Excellent in playing mods. Again, Cyclonus is still my favorite because it's just brilliant. And the way Cyclonus extends out because he's got all these sort of folding and it's just amazing. The playing mode here isn't too bad. It doesn't look so brilliant from underneath, but you're never going to really display it from underneath. Why would you? You don't do that with really any of your figures. But yeah, I mean, nice colours, bright in the playing. And it does look quite good. And I like the fact there's no clear plastic. So with me, that's a plus point. And there's Blaster, again, just with his repaint mold mates. And I think a lot of people were getting, we'll say Blaster and Twincast. And is it Shattered Glass Blaster? Is he still called that? Or has he got a different name? I can't remember.
No, he's Shattered Glass Blaster.
Yeah.
Is it called Shatcast? Is it just called Shatcast?
Is that trombone gone?
It's not
They're
even
coming back.
Trombone. So and there you got sort of like Twincast, and yeah, I mean, I'm glad to kind of have him there. He's a good fun sort of figure to have. Yeah, there's not really much else to say about that.
There seems to be quite a few people who've bought the Twincast just to get Rewind.
Rewind.
And they're now
Yes.
just selling on the Twincast figure, which is, I don't know. It's a bit of a shame. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just...
It depends if
I
you're
think
a
there's,
fan, right?
there's history of that, because when I was talking to Greg today about when Masterpiece Sound Blaster came out, and there was loads of people saying that one. Alexis, you'll probably remember, like it's a Masterpiece Rat Bat with a free Sound Blaster.
Yeah. Well,
it's a clever way to sell that second mold.
Yeah,
I bought a KO Rat Bat on its own for like £10, I think, in the end, on eBay. But I'm sure like MMC will probably do, or fans toys will do, won't they? Eventually, they'll do one, won't they? Yeah. So it's just being patient. That's the point of future proofing, right? Patience. A discussion for another time.
Just collecting, future proofing, putting a stupid name on it. Anyway. Yeah, Rohan, is it Rohan? Oh, yeah, Rohan.
Yes, it's Rohan time, and it's a big
flying
show tonight.
by.
So grab your popcorn.
Hang on.
Oh wait.
Wait,
Still.
I'll get a minute. No, wait.
Well, that's not too bad. Rohan.
This is taking longer than Rohan's show.
Come on now.
I got to wet my lips. I got to get into the mood. I got to get into the right mood. Right, I got
You're
it.
not talking to Sam now, mate. Right.
Hang on, that was the
Davey,
one. That was the one.
Video. Play the video.
No, wait.
Who is this YouTuber? Is it Paul, the Joy Toy Collector? Andy, the Newcastle United fan? Jamie, the GoBot hater? Alexis, the salesman? Rohan, the man with the plan and the Wall of Fame? Might just be Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye. Oh, he's so fly, a groovy guy with a beard that just won't stop. When the bots get rough, he's super tough as third party cleans up. Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye. It's been a while since we had Crap Transformers Corner, or since we heard Alexis sing. And it's been a while since Rohan did Combiners, or we saw his Wall of Fame. It's been a while since we... Thank you, my friends. Hello and welcome back to the Corner of Rohan. And once again, we are focusing for some time, the first time, on Combiners. And the guys did a fantastic coverage last week of the 5 best Combiners. But however, it's been a while since I've done Combiners. It was a great idea that was put forward by friend of the show, Rudy Suzu. But also, Rudy and I have something else in common, and that is that we both like GoBots. And it's been an even longer while since I did anything on GoBots. So, without further ado, it's a GoBot episode on Combiners. Well, you know, technically it's on Courageous, the ship that combines with 4 sort of independent modules to create a combiner-like robot. It's not the best combiner done in the GoBot show. That was Puzzler by a mile. But, you know, still, let's take a look at it. Right, so for those uneducated oits of you out there who aren't aware, the GoBots cartoon series, Challenge of the GoBots, ran for 65 episodes, if we don't include the Rock Lords movie, because, you know, it's not great. And of those 65 episodes, there were several individual episodes, but there were also some mini-series, joined episodes combined together to create a mini-series, some lasting 2 episodes, some lasting 3, and a couple lasting 5. And actually, the first 5 episodes of the entire show, the first sort of introduction to the GoBots, that was a 5-part miniseries. And then subsequently, episodes 6 to 10 were also a 5-part miniseries known as the Gobatron Saga. And it is those 5 episodes in which we first see this battle suit combiner, which is made up of the Starship Courageous and these 4 individual suits in the series, created by the Last Engineer, who comes back in that series and is the creator of the GoBots. He saved the race of dying people by downloading their personalities into these hulking robots. Anywho, the point is that that's probably the best miniseries and probably the best episodes of Challenge of the GoBots, in my opinion. With a couple of exceptions, maybe. There are some really good ones, like Invasion from the 21st Century. But it is a ship, okay? And it just attaches some limbs. And let's remember, this is 1984, as you can see here on the base of the box. And it is Bandai, so it's not Transformers quality. It is a hulking great robot with some big accessory guns. And you can see here the concept on the side. You put a GoBot inside this power suit, and it would give that GoBot specific enhanced powers, whether that be power or speed or endurance or telepathy or holograms or whatever was the case. And here we can see on the back a nice little scene and how it looks combined. They all have names for some unknown reason. MRP1, they were never called anything in the show. They were just called power suits, and they would summon their power suits, which would arrive by themselves and combine with the GoBots within them.
Quickly, link up! Let's do some damage!
It's shaken apart!
So that's enough for the box. I've already taken it out because it's very old styrofoam packaging, and we can see here the power suit combiner in all of its incomplete glory. And this here is the wonderful head, a lovely little bit of sticker action on there, and some translucent pieces for the visor, which have yellowed a little bit. We've also got all of the 4 power suits. They look to be intact. I actually got this set from my brother, who bought it for me as a gift, so thank you to him. They may have yellowed a little bit. You can see the ability there to uplift the cockpit canopy, open up the doorways, which are on a sort of spring hinge here, which is a bit annoying, but anyhow, it's there. And that is about the ability of any kind of articulation on this piece. That is it. This was the telepathy unit, which Scooter primarily used to be able to control other people's wills. We have here the power. I think this was the one that Leader 1 used to use, which gave him express speed. Either that or it was Turbo's one, which gave him firepower. Let's have a look. So MP2, right arm, communicates with my mainframe computer. Oh, well, this is just rubbish. It just tells you absolutely nothing. This one, I believe, was for speed. This one, I believe, was for firepower. This one, I believe, was for thought. And this one was for convincing people of free will. I don't know. Got to go back and watch the cartoon series. Evidently, it wasn't that memorable what all the various different pieces did. Here is the ship itself. It's pretty basic. Love that screech on the plastic there. You've got the tiniest bit of articulation in the wings. I guess it looks like a ship. There's a cockpit there. Can you see that through the stickers? It doesn't open. And it is as simple as flip it up and you've pretty much got the body there. You turn the wings up out of the way. And that's the torso. You could open up this chest section here. I'm not entirely sure what that achieves. In the show, they didn't ever show anyone going in there, but the last engineer was in his little cockpit there. So some missiles. Some of these are still on the sprue, which is pretty cool. I didn't even realize he came with missiles, but obviously his large laser gun here, which he holds, has a... No, it doesn't have a fire. Right, it has the ability to combine and disconnect itself, but it doesn't have any missile firing capability. There's a small gun here. The 2 fists here, which are not bad actually. It's got opening hand. Thumb doesn't move. Some hunking great feet, as you expect for the 80s. Okay, and to combine the feature onto the legs, you have to pull this hinge down again on a spring-loaded joint for this piece, and also for the speed piece here. For the arms, it's a lot simpler. It's a case of just connecting these metal brackets into the shoulder pieces, a bit like you would expect on some of the new age combiners today, actually. There is very limited articulation once they're in. As you can see, it can go up and down. Stick this leg on here. For the feet, they just slide on just like the arms do. And for the fists, they're exactly the same, slide on, so everything is a slide on part, really. Ah, I was wrong. So this gun here just attaches to this bigger gun here, and somehow he holds it. Okay, so there's actually two ways to apply the gun. One is it's got these two little holes in the weapon itself that can just peg on here, or he can hold the weapon when you pull out this peg here. It's not the best of holds. It will sit there at an angle, so I prefer the peg. Still have no idea what the missiles are for. There are some landing gear elements here on the ship. Obviously, it's not for combined mode. In terms of scale, here is the Pangu Toys Legends Class Omega Supreme that I showcased last week. So, you know, he's quite a bit taller. But he's definitely smaller than any kind of Titan class modern day combiner that we have, or any masterpiece for that matter. A couple of cool things you can do with the feet. First thing is they have built-in storage. You can lift up this panel here and you can stick the fists in there. You know, keep the right one with the right one, the left one with the left one if you so wish to do so. But it's cool that they can store them so you don't lose them. And like the G1 combiners where you had to store all your accessories in one place, and then you can also take the jet section, flip out the landing gear, flip down the legs. You can hear those joints having never really been used, those ratchets, exposing some wheels here, and you can attach the feet to the respective wings to give it a cool jet looking mode. And he rolls. Okay, so in the original cartoon series, you would generally have had the main four Guardian characters or good guy characters in Leader 1, Turbo, Scooter, plus one other. Usually it would be Pathfinder or Blaster. I don't have all those characters, so I've got Turbo here and I've got Pathfinder, and we can just take one of these power suits, lift up the latch, open up the flap and slide them in. And the interesting thing is, in terms of the toys, they made a Guardian and a Renegade set, a black and grey variant for this, for the various different markets, and it was just obviously Bandai copying onto the repaint machine that was Hasbro. It wasn't commonplace for them to do lots of repaints. You can see they don't all fit in here. He flip top, just his feet are just annoying to get in there, so we'll put Turbo in here. Right, so usually you'd have the other Guardians in here, but I've got Pathfinder, I've got Sparky, I've got Flip Top, and I've got Turbo in here. And one further point to note is that, generally speaking, in the cartoon, you see Courageous is blue with red connections on some of the joints here, but obviously this is the Robo Machines variant which came out first, and so it's obviously a different color scheme. So they had several different color schemes for these figures, and the GoBots one I think was the most sought after and therefore goes for the most value. Right, so that's that in terms of the Power Warrior, as he was known in the GoBots cartoon. Quite a nice little combiner to have if you don't want to break the bank and just want to pay sort of 30-40 quid for the set. And before we wrap up here on Rohan's Corner this week, we have another installment, another episode of Dinobot War for you. I believe the majority of people last time decided to vote for page 16, so let's go on with it. You edge through the shadows by the wall of the chamber, hardly daring to breathe in case you're spotted and thrown out. Luckily, everyone's attention is on what the scientists are saying. In the gloom at the back of the chamber, you come across a strange object. It appears to be a flying saucer, partially buried in the rock wall. Could it really be from another planet? Perhaps abandoned by alien visitors in Earth's distant past? An abandoned craft that has waited millions of years to be excavated? You're amazed, maybe even a little frightened, but you want to find out. You make your way towards the saucer. Turn to page 17. Your foot catches on a metal briefcase. It makes a scraping sound on the cavern floor, but the others don't notice. By touching a panel on the side of the case, you cause it to flip open. Inside is an assortment of strange items. You're quite sure that they were not made by any human hand. Suddenly, the beam of torch plays upon you. You're dazzled by the light and hear a man cry out. Running footsteps move towards you. Turn to page 18. The men close in around you, shining their torches at you. "Hey, kid," says one. "That's a relief," murmurs one of the workmen. "I thought he was an alien come to life." A security guard strides over to you. "Hey," he says, "you're not allowed in here." What can you do now? If you allow them to take you out of the cavern, you will never find out the truth behind that saucer. You could be missing out on the most exciting adventure of your life. But what else can you do? If you give yourselves up, this is the end. If you're trying to use one of the items in the case, turn to page 19. Now, I presume most of you are not going to give up, so I'm just going to carry on. You reach into the case and you pull out a large metal sphere with a dial on it. You don't know what it does, but there's only one way to find out. Turning the dial may be very foolish, but with several guards about to seize you, you're not thinking too clearly. As you move the dial, you see them stare in shock and then begin to disappear in a whirling haze of light. The light soon grows so bright that you have to cover your eyes. Just before you do, you fancy that you're going to see a giant cat leaping towards you. You have no time now to think about it. You're passing out. Turn to page 21. You slowly recover consciousness. You're lying on your back in the midst of a steaming jungle. Mist swirls thickly around you, barely muffling the animal cries that echo distantly through the strange land. Suddenly, a deafening roar comes thundering out, chilling you to the marrow of your bones. You hear something moving towards you, something large. The creature appears as a monstrous, pale silhouette against the mist. Will you run away? If so, turn to page 24. If you hide and wait to see what's coming, please comment. Turn to page 22. That's the next installment of Dinobot War. Thank you for joining me on this GoBots episode of Rohan's Corner. Hope to see you again next time. Back to the studio.
Transformers, Rohan's in disguise.
Well, thank you, Rohan. That was superb. It was so superb that Andy just couldn't take it anymore and he just had to leave.
So blown away by Rohan that literally it just said oh, and died. And so I've had to restart it. We're back.
That's his story and he's sticking to it, but he was gone for the whole time, Rohan. He was like,
Rohan knows I wasn't because I messaged you.
Have you had to wipe your into history again by erasing the whole computer?
I had to wind it up. It's Fisher Price, you know that.
GoBots do computers then.
Anyway, thank you, Rohan. That was very good. At least what I saw of it up until the point where the laptop died. I missed the end of the story, so I don't know. I'll watch it back another time.
Ah, okay. I'll fill you in then. So you basically
move on.
Time.
Next thing,
you can watch it again if you want.
Sure. Why not? Double Rohan. Actually, we've had that before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Didn't we have that once where did Paul?
Oh, we talking about the show? I thought you talking about TFN. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Double dip, Rohan. Anyway, let's carry on.
Okay.
Lynn, these are sex people.
What do you mean?
They're sex swappers. Lynn, this is DEFCON 1. Look. Look. Don't make the same noise as them. For You want to join in?
So for foreplay, the idea was to pick what we think is our best repaint. Now I know there's a lot of issues of who came first, Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp, etc. But just generally a repaint figure. So pick the best repaint, not one that's got a heavy retool on it, but a repaint. Even if the face is going to be slightly different, that's okay, because generally that's what they tend to change when it comes to just a simple repaint.
Didn't Skywarp was the third, because Thundercracker and Starscream were both Diaclones first, and Takara made Skywarp as their own color scheme. That's what I was told from Chris McFeely.
Yeah,
there
was two Diaclone versions of like Thundercracker, what we think of as Thundercracker and Starscream. So you could say Skywarp was the original colors version, I suppose, if you really want to.
He was the original repaint, right?
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't pick Skywalk. We did ask Alexis not to start, but yeah, thanks. Cheers. Yeah, I'll go and pick something else now.
Please tell me you didn't tell him what you were picking.
Oh yeah,
you've learned from
so
that
he's straight
mistake.
into just talking.
Did you say what you were picking?
Yes.
Every time, Alexis.
I know.
I thought he gave me an example.
And then I thought, I was trying to get you to shop at the start as well when you were starting, just because I thought, no, he's going to start to make it in his.
Anyway, Jamie, what were you picking?
Well, I was good to talk about the original Diagon, Skywalk, who became Scourge. But I made the classic mistake of telling this to Alexis, and then decides he thinks of it as his own.
Yeah. How many times?
I know. But yes, this was also my first, one of my first, I recall, G1 figures. And he was always immense, especially when I figured eventually how to get the cone bit through the middle of the chest sort of cavity, because before then he had a massive cone head, and he was stuck with that for a while until I sort of eventually figured out how to transform these things. But yes, Skywarp, he was just always a cool figure to me. I loved the colors, I loved the playing mode. The playing mode was just static, and I think when it came to the early animation of G1, you could always see sort of different painted versions of these characters waltzing around. And you always just wondered, who these other characters were, because we had the Skywarp, we had your Thundercracker, you had your Starscream, but you didn't get to see the name of the other characters. And, because originally the Decepticons seemed to have like an army of Seekers, it seemed. And eventually sort of whittled away. But yes, I think when it comes to, it's a great example when you think about the Seekers of repaints. Nice and simple repaints. Literally nothing else changes about them. But because there's so much effort is put into the character development in the cartoon and in the comic, when you look at that toy, it looks like a completely different character. And I think that's sometimes the thing I struggle with new repaints in this either. When it's a repaint of a toy which has got no real name, it just looks like they've made up a name, like the Diaclone stuff, and they'll call it K9, K19 or something. It doesn't have that same attachment. And it looks to me, the first thing that comes to my mind is it's a repaint, rather than, oh, that's a Thundercracker, or that's a Skywarp. Yeah. And I think that's the big issue with repaints. I think that's why Hasbro really needs to work with the comics and the cartoons. If we could ever get into a good cartoon series again, is get those guys to give personalities to these repaints before they come out, and kids will just lap them up. And the thing I also miss is, obviously, I know because these things are sold in so many countries now, but Hasbro's gone away. If you want to know about this character, you can scan it and you can go into the internet to read it. And maybe kids are doing that straight away with their mobile phones now. They come there, blah, blah, blah. But I just don't think kids would be doing that originally, not until at least they got to home. And I think
that's what's missing from porn DVDs, probably. Like if you could scan the artist behind the scene and go see other things online, that'd be really cool. Sorry.
Awesome. It's nice to see what you get up to the weekends. And on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
There's Alexis. Anyway.
Yes. Porn fanatic. But yes, That's the
Enthusiast.
I know.
Connoisseur. Anyway, so I thought then.
Especially when he doesn't get enough buzz from it anymore and he starts going for much loved animals. But anyway, moving on.
Hey, I don't live in Spain. Piss off.
Well, you can get a ticket there.
Oh, let's not get into that.
But yes, so we Skywalk. Yes, that's it.
Just want to say that you did say, for example, you said, for example, Prowl or Blue Streak, Starscream, and Skywarp. You didn't say what you were picking. You just said, for example, gave examples.
No, I said to you on. Oh, never mind. So
talk about it later, ladies.
Anyway, so here we've got Thundercracker, and yes, a main example of what we mean by nice simple repaints and the great effort of building up a character through comics and animation. Who wants to go
like
next?
The original ones, aren't they? Though that's the thing; they were so great.
Yeah,
they've done it so many times because it never gets old. It's the color schemes, and obviously, if you know the characters, and when they're as good as the Earthrise ones as well. But anyway. Would you like to go next, Greg? Because you might have a bit of input about repaints. I don't know why. You might have been thinking about it.
No, I had to think long and hard for this one. I think Jamie's point was fantastic around the aspect of a repaint having a character behind it to make you go, well, that's something totally different, or it really brings it to life. And I did, as you said, Andy, like I talked about this in the prime time Toys Talking Robots chat this week, and my pick is a kind of fairly simple one, but it probably is very similar to Jamie's and the reasons for it, and it's the RID Scourge, and I think it's that aspect that it's a whole new character. Like that whole show, they repainted Bruticus into Ruination, repainted Fort Max into Brave Max. Like they did that. That show was really clever at using molds from previous lines, but actually giving them whole new characters and giving them reasons to want them in a kind of a different style. And I think this, for me, is just a stunning figure. I think it was a great character. I think it's, for a repaint, it's brilliant for just being totally different. Not the bright colours, going to the darker colours. The light piping on this thing still, however many years, what was that, 2000, 2001, something like that came out?
2001,
and again, it's that it goes back to Jamie's point of the character is what brings it to life. The haphazard repaints, as Jamie says, about like Diaclone ones, or ones that were just, oh look, there was a prototype, so let's repaint it and release it. Oh look, actually we could just paint one cell of animation had that animation error. Let's repaint that. I find that hard. I enjoy when a repaint is around a new character or a changing character. And I know Armada did that a little bit as well, kind of changing the characters with the repaint bits. So I think if there's a reason for it, I think it's good. And for me, the Scourge is just still stands up as a solid bot and a solid transformer, but it's just a great character and great repaint.
Awesome.
So I'll point out quickly that Drew's got some good advice about when you scan the QR codes on porn as well. So it's interesting to find out there. Ian's wondering if people still buy DVDs.
He doesn't usually talk about this much about porn, Graham. So I do apologise. I think it must just be you.
Mick's got some advice.
You are attractive, and it's obviously done something to Alexis.
Jamie, it's too many Scots for him. It's too many Scots for him.
You just can't take it.
Trying to see what the link is between Scots and Port. Anyway, sorry, you did send me, didn't you?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, there's so many. I found this really hard actually because there were so many repaints that I like. So, without dropping in, Nemesis Prime from the Siege mold, the Siege Optimus Prime mold. I love that. I love that figure. I'm not really fussed for the trailer, but the actual bot itself. You paint Prime in those Nemesis Primes. I'm going full Alexis. And I'm also going to give a shout out to this one, but I've shown this before, which is why I haven't picked it, which is the Sentinel Prime. This is the one from the box set. But
Is that how I sound? I've shown it before, so I'm not going to show it. But here it is on the camera.
No, you don't normally say that. You just start talking about them for 5 minutes and then say, "But it's not that one." But the one I'm going to go with, simply because I decided this literally about 5 minutes ago, because there's so many of these things that I love. But like you were saying, JB, about the fact that it can be a repaint and maybe just a change of the head sculpt or whatever, just something that changes it. Yet the colors and everything else turn it into a different character. So I'm going to go with Titan's Return Croc. Now, I was a big fan of the Mulder Meets the Eye and Lost Light comic books, and obviously the Scavengers, who were featured quite a bit in that storybook. And if you don't know who they are, they're basically a team of reject Decepticons who've banded together to survive, and Croc's kind of their unofficial leader. And I loved their storylines. I loved the story arc that their characters took. And I thought the Croc one was really interesting because it kind of dealt with kind of PTSD and the real life effect of what warfare does to a person. So there were bits of it that were really funny with them. They were a bit like the Red Dwarf crew in Transformers form, but if they were evil. But there were some really interesting bits with Croc that I really thought kind of were well written, and I really enjoyed those things. And when this came out, I was chuffed. I remember pre-ordering it, back in those days when you were allowed to pre-order. And I love it. Even though the toy, I still think this toy has flaws. I mean, I think this version of the mold is better than the Skull Cruncher one, or at least for me personally, because the actual joints are a bit tighter and stuff like that. Like the legs are notoriously poor on these things. But it's the colors and the head sculpt, and it just, I mean, how many times are we going to get a Croc in the Transformers toy line, you know, based on the whole Action Master look? And I just love it. The neon greens, the purples and the blacks. He looks fantastic. He reminds me, and I suppose it goes back to what Jamie was saying about if they've got a character behind them that you actually care about and that you're interested in, you can literally look at it, and even though you know that's Skull Smasher, Skull Cruncher, I still don't like Skull Smasher, Skull Cruncher. It's Skull Cruncher painted differently and with a different head. That's literally all he is. Yet it just works, and for me, that's Croc, and that's why he gets one of the prides of place near kind of my favoured bots that get to be out. So yeah, I'm going to go with this just because I could have gone with so many. There's tons of them that I really like that are repaints, but this one, it's the look of it, it's the fact that it's a character I love, and yeah, that's about it really. What more can you say? He's awesome. And plus, who else is going to pick Croc? Seriously, I knew Alexis wouldn't get this one, for fuck's sake. You're not stealing my choice. He's literally just gone.
Well, Alexis is obviously doing Skywalk because that's the one you started talking about.
Exactly.
So we're looking forward to your talking about Skywalk now.
The colours are now beautiful, Andy.
Thank you, Ed. Yes, he is a great.
Funny you say Croc, because I haven't got Croc. I haven't got Skywalk.
Oh, just for a second, I thought you were going to.
Why were you talking about Skywalk then? Oh, yes,
because he's trying to show his knowledge of Transformers, Jamie. You opened the door and he stepped right through.
Foreplay.
I've gone for a very simple foreplay because I like getting to the hard stuff, as you know.
Oh, we're still talking about the toys now.
Yeah. I've gone for Hot Rod. There he is, my repaint. This is my repaint. And you're going to go, hang on, that's not a repaint. And I'll go, aha, it is a repaint because this isn't just any old Hot Rod. This is Target Master Hot Rod, so he can have his little firecracker in there.
Right,
Alexis,
he said, Alexis, so it'd be a different character, not a repaint, or a different version of the same toy character. Example, Pearl and Blue Streak.
You said not the same
Starscream and Skywalk. Then I talked about
Skywalk. It is the same character. Target Master Hot Rod is still Hot Rod.
He's different. He's merged with his... I like the colour scheme on this.
Every week, Graham. Every week.
I know.
Every week. It wears you down.
I beat Jamie last week. I seen it last week.
Jamie's actually only 22.
I mean, look at the poor man. What I like about
And we went to such lengths, and even said it back. You went, you gave an example, Jamie. You went Prowl and Bullshit, and then you went Starscream, and you went Skywalk, and I went, well done, Alexis. We did give
Mick
you
Holohan,
examples.
will you stop saying poor Alexis? Not poor Alexis. It's poor us. We have to live with this.
Then we talked about.
I like the pearlescent shimmer of the
The
legs.
section wasn't called show a bot that you just like.
It's a repaint. It's different in
It's not a
headmask.
repaint.
All right, I'll go get one.
Oh, get Skywalk, the one you decided to talk about.
You're right, Lily. You never go full Alexis, but he's gone full Alexis on us. Oh, pick a figure.
He's got one
that's a
chance to
repaint.
pick.
He's gone for. Yay!
I'll go for Skywalk.
There we go.
So, but do you think this looks?
What do you like about Skywalk? What do you like about Skywalk?
What I like about Skywalk is when I hold him close to another figure. When I hold him close to a figure, he really does stand out. In fact, it's really quite good to hold him next to a figure, and like he can even cuddle.
The transformer.
Cuddle.
Talk about the transformer
cuddle.
in your hand, which is closer to the size of your knob.
So,
we all know that's not true, Alexis.
All right.
It's much
Yes,
smaller than
we
that.
know. Here we go. Right. Let me get.
Have you got a Brain Master?
Let me get serious. This is smaller than the fucking Brain Master. Let me get serious for a second here. Okay. I think we're.
Oh no, something else.
There we go.
well.
I chose Skywalk.
You chose Target Master.
I chose Skywalk, but I'm still trying to. He can't do it, can he? We need to pay for a psychiatrist or something.
Actually, no. I tell you what. I like who's the repainted Jazz, the black one?
Ricochet.
Is it
Jack
Stepper?
Pot?
Yeah, Jack.
It's Stepper.
We don't know because you haven't fucking told us.
Oh, is
He's
Jack
actually
Pot?
giving you different names.
Was Jack Pot the Action Master?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they have done versions of Jazz
I've got
repaint.
a whole shelf of repaints.
He's a repaint of the
I
Action
completely
Master
forgot.
Jazz,
I've actually
isn't
got a
he?
whole shelf of repaints.
How many? Hang on. How many
This
bots are we
one.
on now? 3.
This is the one I like.
Or
Or Corden.
Oh my God.
One of these. It's one of these. I don't know which.
Stepper.
Stepper. He's the target master. Is that allowed? Because he's the
too
target
ill
master.
for this.
I thought we're not allowed to have target. Okay.
He's not,
I like
he's
that
not
one.
just a target
And
master, he's a
Corden.
repaint, Alexis.
Yeah.
He is actually a repaint.
Okay,
So
and I've got a whole like Japanese line of these because they're really cool
Alexis,
right to the other side.
It's been really nice talking to you,
Thank
but I feel
you.
we must go now on to something else. No.
Oh,
So-
sorry. So
We now return to the Transformers.
I mean, if Alexis could just have waited
Thank
a
you.
couple of minutes, you
You
could
make-
literally
go on,
started
Nick.
talking about this stuff.
Yeah,
But,
now we're going to get into this.
Yeah. So now we're looking at the discussion, and today's discussion is, if people are still awake, is there too many repaints? Do we want to have something better now? Do we deserve something better? Or is repaints just sadly something that happens because when it comes to animation, it saves money, it saves the artist time as well. It's nice and simple just to use the same, the same polygons, the same figure,
Saves
to
the toy
work with.
company's money.
Saves the toy company money with the research and time, etc. And if repaints are done right, with the marketing, you can give these repaints plenty of character and it will feel like a completely different character and not just a simple repaint. Or do we like the idea of what happened to Metalhawk? A repaint, but taken to the next level with heavy retooling, where you almost can't even know where the original figure came from. Open to the floor. Alexis, you've actually talked for so much now. Just let someone else talk just now. So open to the floor, apart from Alexis and myself, because I've talked too much as well. So it's just basically Andy and Prime Time off.
Would you like to say it first, Graham?
Open to the floor, two of you guys.
I think it's a good point because I think that actually, if we go back to the 80s, there was repaints and other toy lines as well. Like Masters Universe did that with, was it Beastman and Mossman? There was Merman and Stinkor.
Well, most of the bodies of those figures just the same mold and then just repainted each time, and then the different heads and stuff. So it's been going on for years and years. This is not something new, is it?
No. And I think, like, I imagine some of us picked up some of the recent repaints in the Velocitron set just because they were cheap, but would you pick them up at full price? And I think there are some that are. I can understand why toy companies do it to try and max their money out. Like, I do get that side of it, but there are then the ones that are just repaints for repaint's sake. Like the Galvatron, for example, comes out with battle damage, and then I know there's shoulder issues, but then they release it without battle damage. That aspect was a bit like, I need to buy it. I mean, I picked up the TK Maxx one because it was cheap, but that frustrates me when it's like, let's just slightly deco change. I don't mind so much when it was like the Cyclonus, the ones you showed, Jamie, where it was into the toy deco. The Galvatron done the toy deco. I kind of get that more, and I'm okay with that because we know that there's two different variations. But these slight changes just to milk the money out of mold is where it's. I think we all get frustrated with it, and there is a good few repaints, and these extra lines like your Velocitrons and Generation Selects.
Some of them work, don't they? I mean, some of them do work, and some of them don't.
Yeah.
Like, you can get someone like Getaway from was it Titans Return line when they did Getaway, and it was basically just Chrome Dome with a slightly different face sculpt, and the rest was the same. Everything else was the same, just repainted, and that didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like Getaway. But then other ones do, like Croc is a different head, but the rest of the body and everything is just skull crunches, so some work. I totally understand why toy companies do it, but the fact of the matter is the best ones of those figures tend to be the remolded ones, like in particular, which I didn't throw in just because I tried to concentrate on repaint like we discussed. But if we were talking remolding, you've got like Misfire and Slugslinger and Trigger Happy, which are all three are basically based off the same mold, but with remolding and obviously different color schemes and everything, and they work brilliantly. They are three of my favorite of that kind of variation of it. So when it works, it's great, but I can understand it costs the toy companies more. And if it's an obscure character that isn't going to sell loads to your casual Transformers fan or casual toy fan, then I can understand why they just do it as a repaint. It just, if you're a big fan of that character and it means a lot, it's not quite.
That's a good point. Andy, you were picking yours. Like the Titans Returns did it, and they did some of them really well. Like the blur mold that was then used for RC and it was used for other ones.
Rainstorm.
That was a beautiful mold. So actually, and
it worked.
And again, so again, a beautiful mold that then works in different bits, and that's where it works well. I do think there is. What I've enjoyed of picking up those cheap Velocitron sets is, for example, I can then have that mold in alt mode without having to have a second grapple or a second that. I quite like that. I know, Jamie, you like to just buy one of each, but that gives you the options to have that. But not the full mode. Well, yeah. And I think that's the big. But these repaints feel as if they should almost be a cheaper price point, because unless it is like an obvious one where you can justify it, like a Skywarp or Thundercracker, when it's these second ones that I reduce the price slightly, it'll be more appealing to people.
You'll know, Graham, and I'm sure Alexis can weigh in on this, but there are other, like third-party companies do it all the time as well, with either just straight repaints or the remolds, like MMC.
Well,
several of their figures, their reformatted figures, were the same molds with slight variations of remolding or just repainting them. And, they're good figures.
Yeah.
Some of them are starting to look their age a bit now. When you
Expansibles don't even try. They just bring out the same figure in 7 different colors and hope they get your favorite color of the rainbow, right?
They're very blatant about it, though, aren't they? Like some of the Legends companies, like is it New Age? That's often like you get all is it Luke and
hundreds of
Gavu, all the colors of the rainbow, every flavor you could possibly want, and they'll just keep repainting them and putting them out there, and it's more money in the pocket, I suppose. That's what it comes down to, isn't it? Ultimately, it's profits.
MMC have done quite a lot with
Toys have just done the
IDW
jets. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make Toys.
Make
Make
Toys
Toys.
have
That was that's a
three
given, right? Everyone
makers and a fourth. Yeah.
Whenever someone does the one seeker, they're going to make 6.
Yeah.
So
well, it's more now, isn't it? Because there's so many seekers that we now have that are accepted as actual seekers because they've appeared, even if it was for
That
30
Classics
seconds in the first cartoon rather. Or an animation
That
error,
original
and everybody
Classics
goes,
mold was
come on.
repainted so many times.
Do you remember when the Cyclonus mold came out and everybody kept showing the screenshot from Series 3 where they had a Cyclonus in Dirge colours and everybody was saying that this is the repaint we want, and that happens every time with a new figure. If there's anything that looked that in an animation error it was there, that everybody's like, yeah, you've got to do this, Hasbro. And you think to yourself, well, they're not going to do that probably, because like there's probably if we're being honest, there's probably about 20 people around the world who really want that figure. They're not going to do that. They're not going to make any money off that, are they? But
Andy, you bought MMC, didn't you? You bought a Getaway from MMC. I'm surprised you didn't pick Getaway from MMC.
Well, that was a remold more than just a repaint. But yeah, I did. And it was good. But again, I want that supposedly we are getting, but I don't know when it's going to bloody come out. Supposedly we are supposed to be getting a mainline Getaway. There's been rumours of it for coming on to years now, but it just never seems to appear. And I think it would sell because I think there's enough fans of IDW that would buy it just because. But that's maybe part of the problem. Do they go more IDW or do they go more G1 or do they try and do a mix of the two? So you just get both both groups moaning, oh, it's not IDW enough or it's not. I don't know. I'm sure we'll see.
Now with Legacy, you would get it more G1. I think Legacy.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Thinking about Sunseeker Titan's question, do you think repaints are better quality as they spend time on the colour scheme? Now they don't need to worry about retooling and redesigning the toy again. And I would say no, because I think Select Cyclonus proved that one, because it had a hell of a lot of problems. But I know when that was the era of COVID, so... But, COVID's been, still here, but it's been over a while now, and it still seems to be an inherited problem just now, I think, with QC issues with Hasbro. I do wonder, though, if a lot of toy designs maybe don't come out because Hasbro want to see the repaint potential from it.
Yeah.
What other figures could it become before it's given the green light?
Didn't they discuss that, the Hasbro designers,
on the round table? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they brought it up there. I'm sure somebody asked them. Yeah, they have to be thinking, right? This is
Metalhawk in that aspect. Yeah,
exactly. What can it be as well as this? So how can Hasbro, how can we get the most money out of this mold? What other figures could it potentially be, and how much would it cost to do all the remolding or whatever you need? So repaints are a quick and easy way to get a buck, aren't they? That's the thing.
I'm going to take the higher level
what was
here.
Interesting was they said.
Go on, Graham.
Alexis, no, Alexis. Actually, no, I don't need to be rude. Alexis, go.
I'm going to take the higher level here. I'm not going to be cynical. I do believe in my heart that repaints are a way to make the best mold possible, and that they can learn from the mistakes of previous molds, and that when the figure comes out at the end, whatever that last figure is the one. MMC did a lot of that with their earlier molds and made it better as it went through. But I'm hoping that other companies do the same thing when they make they make it and then they improve upon it, so that and they're able to improve and put more into it because the amount of cost to produce it isn't there. And I hope Hasbro are doing that as well in the future. That with molds that they obviously have there that they can retool.
I mean,
they'll just see a profit. They'll make it better for the fans. That's what I really hope.
That's what we discussed with Starsaber. What stopped Starsaber with all its problems, where it had a limited run, so all the problems that started to show up they could fix in the next batch because they only really were geared up to run the 1 or 2 batches at the most. Where I think if it was a normal run to be put out there in the stores, they would have solved it by the 2nd or 3rd batch run. Where I think Cyclonus, Select Cyclonus shows you what horribly happens, or even to the extent Jackpot, when certain things are taken on board and they end up making a worse figure because they're just QC issues.
The thing is, if you're a smaller company like the third-party companies, you've got to make sure your QC is better, really, because otherwise, if you get a reputation for poor QC, people are going to turn away and buy from somewhere else. Whereas for Hasbro, they know they've got a market there that's always going to buy from them, and that's the thing. You know, it's this whole thing. If we all were more, oh no, this isn't good enough, and we all just stop buying it, then maybe it would make some kind of a difference. But that doesn't happen en masse, or probably not enough normally to make much of a difference. In terms of whether repaints are a good thing, they're a good thing to get random characters that otherwise you wouldn't get. But if you're expecting that you're going to get a brand new mold every time for that character, then you're kind of living in a bit of a dream world, unfortunately. We'd love them, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to get them. Remolds tend to be better.
A potential rumor is I think they're doing further batches of Star Saber due to all QC issues coming from Robert Kopp too. I've heard that rumor as well. And I think, they seem to be getting a lot of batches in. And I think they were also making a lot of extra parts, you know, even when they finished production, because they were all stuck in, you know, in different countries. They couldn't get them shipped anywhere. And I think it took a long time to get the parts, what I was told by Hasbro anyway.
They've had to replace so many parts, haven't they? They've had to send out so many individual parts of the whole, you know, set. But, you know, it's probably caused a bit of chaos. They may as well do it again and make some money. They'll have to make the money back.
And when it comes to customer service in the UK and Europe, is far better compared to some people were getting in America, where they were just getting no help at all. And I think maybe some people in the UK and the Europe were taking the piss with Hasbro with the quality control issues. You know, taking advantage of our superior service. And it always makes me think about the prices. I know it's completely off tangent. I've went through, not even Alexis would go like this, but I know a lot of people talk about, I know prices are cheaper in America and they complain and stuff for there, but like a lot of people say, but in America, if you spend your ankle, you could be 20,000 in debt, you know, where we've got a nice NHS, you know, we've got a lot of things out here, and we've got a lot of laws which are protecting us, which I think maybe certain governments like to take away slowly without telling us. But just now, we've got a lot of protection out there, and we should. And if it means paying £5 more, which sometimes that's what it is, just £5 more, you know, I'm happy going to pay that. And other people who don't agree with that, I think you're just mugs. Seriously, just drink coffee because you're a mug, you know, and that's just blatantly honest. Okay.
So direct all complaints. I'll give you his email address, people.
Is that a blanket? Is that a blanket?
He lives
£5 across?
number 5.
Is that a blanket £5 across every?
It was an example, like Pyro and Blue Stick, Skywalk and Starspeed.
I'm so glad you're not hurt by that.
No.
It's not bothered him. That's the important thing.
I'm so glad you can rise above it all.
Of a dying child in a bathtub.
Daft.
Dragging me down slowly.
Anyway, so repaints or remolds, they can be done well, and when they're done well, they're a really good thing. Good way to get those.
I'll tell you that my favourite remolds, I think, are the Thrilling 30, the Sandstorm and Springer.
Which is just a great mold anyway, isn't it?
What a brilliant mold, but done so well in two different bits, and I think that's it. Just shows
here's the question, though, Greg, which is better? Which is better, Springer or Sandstorm? Because this question tends to split a lot of people now.
Springer.
See, I think Sandstorm's got more personality about it, but
I agree.
Springer to me always felt like the original.
Absolutely love Springer.
I got rid of my Sandstorm. I found it's too back heavy in robot mode. Just didn't like it.
Yeah, I got rid of mine. I sold it to Jamie.
Then you paid the new one for £5.
I did. I was walking around a car boot sale and found about 4 Transformers, and the guy charged me a £5, and one of them was Sandstorm that I'd sold to Jamie about a month earlier. I went, yeah, sure, I'll have it back in the collection for that. But Jamie's not bitter.
He doesn't bring up often. No.
He's back in bathtub again, though, isn't he?
Every TFN.
Well, I had that death-defying experience in the bathtub a couple of weeks ago when I got, I couldn't turn the tap off, and I was trying to keep my bath. But yeah, I've been there.
I'm going to stick your big toe in the tap.
Well, I tried to do that, but I ended up just spraying water all over. I went,
Wow.
this isn't working.
Jamie's
Help.
near-death experiences.
Help.
It's like Alfred Hitchcock is back from the grave, like, and with us
Oh.
right now. The suspense.
I tell you what, it's a good job that Mei Lin was stood next to you with that hairdryer. I could have just gone nasty.
Waiting.
I wonder why she was asking me the extension cord was.
It's strange for her to have a toaster in the bathroom, but you know.
When she pulled back the curtain, did you go a little
I was like, I don't want a microwave meal, Lin. I don't.
Anyway, oh dear. Are we done then? Do we think? Is that? Have we covered everything? I can't even remember what we talked about. Repaints, yeah, they're all right. There we go.
Someone mentioned crankcase again. I'm surprised you didn't bring that one up as well.
Well, Ed was saying he's opened crankcase and he thinks it's the best version of that mold, which I think he's probably right. Although I don't own skids myself, but from what I've heard from other people, it's probably crankcase is the best one. I still don't think that's necessarily the best mold. Full stop, but I think it does the job for crankcase. It looks like him. And again, how many times are we going to get a crankcase? Seriously,
I've got a repaint. I've got who's the speedster off of Transformers Prime. He was a jazz mold. Decepticon.
Transformers Prime.
Get away. No, run away. Red one. It's a red one. Remold of jazz.
Oh, do you mean the Prime? What do you call him? The Prime.
You
Knockout.
mean Knockout?
Knockout.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Knock one out. Yeah, knock one out. Yeah, I've got knock one out over there.
His toy is in the main line is the remold of Jazz. You're right. Yeah, that's a decent figure. It's not brilliant, but it's decent. I think the problem with that one was the ones who were Prime fans felt it didn't have the character that the original kind of like.
So is that an issue then? It's sometimes when we get a character which is basically a repaint of another character, like say Knockout from Jazz, but because it doesn't look like the Knockout, apart from maybe the head sculpt where they've made an attempt to pay some homage to the original character, because it doesn't look like the character we were brought up in the comics or the animation, does it kind of just take away that buzz from it? Because you know then it's based on Jazz, or you happy but you've got some version at least, and are happy enough as the Hasbro bug
If
you
want one that looks like the character, buy the red figure. That looks like the character. I'm happy because I've got a knockout in my collection, and I thought he was quite a cool character in Prime. I've got no real affiliation, but he was quite cheap in the sale. I thought, okay, he was like 12 quid or whatever. I thought he's decent, and means I can keep my Jazz in the box for selling at some point. So that's why I bought him, really. But I think he looks better. I think the color scheme is almost better than Studio 86 Jazz.
The thing is, the Legacy Knockout's better than the original Transformers Prime version of Knockout was the toy. But if you're talking about the character we see on the screen and the way he looks,
screen accurate, yeah,
that's the problem they have. Is that I don't really think they've done one that's particularly screen.
They will do what? I mean, the third party are doing them at the moment. They are doing like all the there's an Optimus Prime.
Yeah, but then you're paying probably top bat for that when you should be able to get one for 20 quid in the main line that actually looks like the character it's supposed to be. Well, it's the G1ification sometimes of certain characters. It doesn't always work.
If you go buy 2 or 3 of these over the time.
Yeah, although you see, I found the first version of Legacy Bulkhead boring. I just thought the flat green color scheme and the boxiness of it just didn't feel like Bulkhead. But then I bought the Wreckers one. Just because it had a much more interesting deco, and I actually liked the deco, and I just thought it made, again, where a repaint actually makes the figure pop a bit more. And actually, I looked at that one. Plus, you got the hammer. You need the hammer for Bulkhead because it's a big part of, you know.
You like.
Actually, I mean, he was more the kind of wrecking ball on the fist, but the hammer just makes it more interesting.
I do like my heroic Autobots to be very violent. It has to be said.
The best heroic Autobots are violent. That's because Decepticons are the best. So,
everyone likes an anger wank. Yeah,
there he goes again.
So credit to Masterpiece. Actually, I will say that not third party, but actual genuine Takara Masterpiece. I'm just trying to think back. Apart from the clear one, which is Ratchet Ironhide, which is always going to come up. I don't think there's, and Graham, keep me honest here. I don't, and the Seekers, but have there been any other? They're all brand new molds, I think, aren't they? They're now doing repaints. The later ones are now doing like the
anime ones, the anime versions.
Yeah, But otherwise, it's
They
always
did the anime
always a new
repaints of
one.
Pearl anime, yeah.
Like they've done Dinobot, Beastars, Megatron, Jetfire. There's so many individual molds. Everyone criticised, but each one's pretty much, apart from Seekers and apart from those shit repaints, the new ones. Primarily, most of them were new, weren't they? I guess, apart from the Datsun Bros, they did do Bumblebee actually in red.
Yeah, Datsun Bros
and gold.
Loads, yeah.
All right,
Can we do a discussion next week?
They did all those ones.
Oh,
I'm discussion next week about why the animation accurate versions of the Transformers are shite and they should stop doing them because it's just, I'm sick of animation. It's got to be animation accurate, especially with Masterpiece. Oh, it's animation accurate. It's got nothing to it. There's no character to the actual bot mode. It's just too smooth. There's no detail on it. Fuck animation accuracy.
Do you think Hasbro are going to start gearing towards more people of the 30-year-olds now, the people who grew up with Armada Prime?
Oh, definitely. We're seeing it already.
And people like me, as much as I love you guys and I love myself lost.
Daily.
We're basically dying now. We're almost in the coffin.
What's a minutely?
Hasbro are probably just going to start saying we'll start pushing these people out to pasture because we're going to start gearing our stuff more towards what the new 30-year-olds, the new people with spending power will be.
I think there is, because we've got those people who came after us for whom we've already talked about this before, that like the RID might have been their G1, Beast Wars their G1, the Unicron trilogy their G1. That's going to start coming in more and more because they're going to be the ones who are the next batch that are coming and buying everything up. So and as G1ers, we've just got to suck it up. Are we going to see
a massive fall in our sort of voice, do you think?
What, for us personally? No, we'll just get louder.
Fuck it. We'll just drink more. Fuck it. We're every fucking Friday.
Alexis, you couldn't drink more. It's not physically possible.
Oh, hold my beer.
That's not a challenge. No, that's not.
I'll hold my beer. Hold my pint. Hang on, that's counterproductive there.
Just thinking about future proofing.
Oh God! It's like one of those buzzwords you hear in business. I mean, bollocks all, and people stick on it. Just wankers.
Anyway, Andy, can you just pivot on that point for a second?
I'll pivot right. I'll pivot right upside your fucking head. Right. Anyway, I think that's the end of this conversation now.
Boys going with Geordie.
I mean, that wasn't Geordie, but all right. You mean violent? In which case, yeah, fair enough.
Same sort of thing, isn't it?
Is it?
I don't know.
Never been to Newcastle, have you?
Oh, well.
Not once. Got nice
There
bridges.
Got
a few nice bridges.
Did you get in a fight?
No, I stayed in the hotel.
No, but yeah, there you are, labeling Unbelievable. Unbelievable. More likely to get your head kicked.
What happened? Did we go into a fight club or something? I just don't know. Did you get into a fight?
It was next door to Kissing Club. He just went straight over afterwards. Found it very different. Although same rules, you don't talk about them.
I got on the wrong fucking queue one night.
Not for the first time.
Queue short tonight. Fucking day. I'm packing my lips up. That's it. Got my chapstick out. Got some right queue guys.
Did you go give me a big smack in the lips? Oh no.
I mean, it looked like Brad Pitt, so I thought I was well in.
You know me, Bill, I'm Brad.
Like this. He lives down the road.
Anyway, right. I think that's probably it. Let's not drag this out.
Oh, I think we could drag this on for another 2 hours.
Oh, let's not.
I headbutted the horse. It must have really annoyed you. All right, Vinny.
Right, guys. Now we can't basically go without saying. Remember, you got this convention coming up. It's a massive convention. Well, massive convention in the egos that are going there, and I mean just me. And other people are really quite decent people. And this is TF UK Con, which is on the 13th of May. It's happening in a small little village town called Birmingham, which is not too far from London.
Bit high, Andy.
So.
No, because that's last year's date. I don't want to confuse people.
If you haven't got a ticket, so if you haven't got a ticket, grab a ticket now. We've got some excellent guests, including some people like this. Andrew Wildman. Is that his actual real name, Andrew Wildman?
Yes. Andrew Wildman, yes.
Why is everyone sounding like a fucking He-Man character?
He's on a TV show with
Alexis
in the 90s with
we've got Wildman.
Oh god, this is a joke. It's not going to be worth
Simon Farman, haven't we?
Chris Packham and from her name now, the Really Wildman show.
Like I said, it wasn't worth
and now we've got Ben, who's trying to get a beard like me. I'm going to have to give Ben some tips, but he's also coming to the convention. So we've got Ben Davidson there. Now, he's the king of KOs. I'm not saying he's cheap, but that's what KOs are, and he is moving to Canada, so you can read a lot into that if you want. But he is a good friend of the show, and we're looking forward to eventually getting him on soon, so hopefully we will.
I was just going to say, until tonight.
Oh, here we go. He's a laugh about it. And now we've also
this man does not represent our views.
And then we've got another He-Man figure and He-Man character, Simon Farman. So here he is. Simon Farman is one of my favourite all-time writers. I like to give him tips on how he can improve his work, but he stopped replying back to me now. And I think he's having some social media problems because I can't seem to find any of his accounts anymore. They all seem to be
strange, isn't it?
Yeah, deleted. I just don't know. It's almost like he's blocked me. I wouldn't understand why, but yeah. So anyway, TF UK Con, the 13th of May. Graham, anything you want to add?
I just want to say, I think
the tickets are available.
Graham, are you a ventriloquist? That's incredible. How did you do that? I didn't hear that bit.
I spent all that effort.
How did you hear that when he clearly said, Graham, do you have anything to add?
I'll mute myself.
Anyway, Graham.
Sorry, yeah. So tickets are available at Primetime Toys if you want to grab them on there. And apparently in the chat, I heard that Rohan's going to be doing karaoke on the Saturday evening entertainment, which will be interesting.
Yeah. And a strip show. I mean, what's not?
If you bring a
I
dance,
think it's like
he's going to be dressed as Bumblebee.
the TFUK concept was brilliant last year, and I think there is that aspect of just the chill nature of it. Jamie, you and I were sitting chatting, and then Simon Furman comes up and sits beside us and sits and has a beer, and we're chatting about you're giving him his tips on how to change the entire way of his writing. I think he's taken on board, to be fair. And then we sat, quite a few of us sat and had dinner with him and Jeff Senior. And these are the guys that shaped your childhood. It was brilliant to have that relaxed nature with them. And this year will be just the same. And I know you guys are going to be in charge of the evening entertainment, trying to hold Alexis off for drinking too much, probably. We'll see how that goes. But I think it'll be a
Oh well. Graham seems to be cutting off there. Alexis, what did you want to say?
I was just going to say that I wasn't sure if Andy and Graham were actually making up one half of a bowling team tonight, if they were actually going to go join the other two Flintstones and, go bowling tonight. Because I was.
So it's nothing useful. Thank you.
It was something funny. I'd get you off, but that was just weak. Weak sauce. Get that man a beer.
I'm going to go back into my bath. It's I would say, mate, I don't rescue
go get the microwave.
Alexis again, and I go, too much Alexis. Too
I like
much.
the fact we tried to end the show and a load of people dropped out, and then a load of people in the chat just went, "Oh Christ, I'll have to sit back down again." Because we just carried on. Ha! Tricked you.
I'll be getting up. I'll be sitting down.
Well, guys, have a great weekend, and we hope to see you next week. Cheers.
Go on the tune.
Well done.